You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
12 school. The French school bus authority says instead of proceeding on his route, the driver parked the bus, left the students on board, and drove away in his car.
Rafi told his wife what happened. That's when they checked their security video.
We saw everything. I said, we've been scammed.
Belle knew something was wrong, and she took him to the vet. The result? Nilak had ingested cocaine.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Hey, at Samaritan Airport, we made it. Tonight is a big night. It's our 200th episode.
Wow, 200 episodes. What a milestone. Yeah, big number. It's exciting. It doesn't feel like it's been 200. It feels like, honestly, like 75.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Because if you think we did 200 episodes, that's basically 4 years that we've been doing this for. And we've only missed a handful of weeks. So it's such a regular part of our life. Like it's our commitment to do this every week, as evidenced by the fact that we don't miss an episode. And maybe this being episode 200 speaks to the hustle and bustle of our lives.
Yeah.
It's flying by.
It's flying by. That's scary to think that life can pass you by so quickly. And sometimes you don't stop to take in the scents and the sights and the touch and the feel of it all. But certainly tonight we'll take the time to do that on our 200th episode. And I can't think of better company to keep on this exciting evening with you and with the Keep Canada Weird Army and correspondents and loved ones.
Yeah, we have a huge momentous night ahead of us. We got some great stories, and again, we're celebrating our 200th episode, but that wouldn't be possible without all the correspondents and the Keep Canada Weird Army, as you mentioned. So a toast to them with my special drink that I hold in my hand. Let me unveil it to you. It's not Christmas anymore, but that didn't stop me from getting a cranberry flavored Cove probiotic soda. Oh. It's called cranberry because it's Christmas inspired and probably cranberry flavored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the elusive Cove, eh?
It's actually really strong. If you like cranberry, that is delicious. And I will say, I found that Cove on a shelf at a store, and I was kind of surprised to see it, a Christmas leftover thing. So I bought it. I went home and I checked my voicemails for the show, and I actually had like 2 different voicemails from American listeners who found Cove sodas in their necks of the woods. So despite us reaching out to Cove for some kind of collaboration, and despite us actually being influencers and getting people to check out Cove, they have not responded to us still. Yeah. And I've emailed them a second time.
Yeah, I think we need the army to move in on this situation and start emailing Cove for us, because I think that happened with Robbins, didn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to spoil our 200th episode feeling bad about Cove. What I want is your special drink. What do you got over there?
Well, I did not get a special drink like you did. I got a normal special drink, which is what I had last week, which is some herbal tea. It's the Bengal spice flavor. It's my favorite herbal tea.
I do love a nice warm tea in the nighttime. So maybe that's good for you. I just kind of thought the 200th episode, I was expecting you to have an alcoholic drink, but tea is great. I'm glad you got that.
I can go get an alcoholic drink right now. I've got one in the fridge.
Go grab one.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm back.
All right, Aaron, let's try this again. You're back. What do you got in your hand?
Okay, I have had this on the show before a couple of times, but it's been a while. But I have a No Boats on Sunday, and it's a raspberry and watermelon vodka soda. I'll pop it open and I'll take a sip.
Let's get this party started.
There we go.
I hate to start the show on a dark note, but I do want to address a loss within the Canadian entertainment and comedy space. Canadian actor and comedian Catherine O'Hara died last week at the age of just 71, marking the loss of one of Canada's most successful performers. Born in Toronto, O'Hara emerged from the Canadian comedy scene through the skit series SCTV before building an international film and television career. She played Delilah Dietz in Beetlejuice, Kevin's mom, of course, in Home Alone, Sally in The Nightmare Before Christmas, which a lot of people don't know, and lately the eccentric Maura Rose on Schitt's Creek. To her fans, her death was unexpected and shocking, but to lovers of film and TV, her contributions will ensure she's remembered forever. So let's have a toast for Catherine O'Hara.
There we go. There's a toast right there with my special alcoholic drink. So
Pretty important to be in both Home Alone and Beetlejuice. Like those two movies are like such towering pillars of entertainment from my life.
yeah, and one thing that she was only in, I think, one episode, but I really enjoyed her in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I didn't realize she was in it.
Yeah, there's an episode she's in. I believe she plays Funkhouse's sister. And so people who are familiar with the show would know that character. He's also passed away as well. He was best known as Super Dave Osborne, but he was also in many seasons of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And she appeared in an episode where I believe she played his sister, and she was hilarious in that episode. So,
but anyway, it's wanted to bring that up at the beginning. But that's not the only kind of loss that we're going to be discussing tonight. I want to jump into the first story of the night here. Canada is quietly losing a grocery store staple as frozen juice concentrate is being discontinued nationwide. With Coca-Cola pulling Minute Maid frozen products from the shelves, this is likely the end of frozen cans of juice in Canada forever. Let's listen to a short clip about this.
They say nothing lasts forever, so say goodbye to frozen, canned, concentrated juice. The entire product category being discontinued in this country. Problem, over time it just lost its appeal.
The older clientele know what it is. The newer clientele just goes, why is it frozen? Why would I buy it?
It wasn't always this way. Juice brands were big names. Old South, McCain, Minute Maid. But come 2026, Coca-Cola's Minute Maid is shutting down production for the US and Canada.
But alternatives like Old South or generic store brands are gone too. After investigating, CBC News found that the other main producer of frozen concentrate in Canada discontinued them last year.
In a statement, the company behind most generic brands said demand for frozen from concentrate juice has steadily declined. Many consumers have shifted towards shelf-stable and refrigerated options. And industry watchers say juice is becoming less popular overall.
And both the market leaders, such as Coke, and store brands are leaving. It's a strong signal that the product is dying.
80 years after first hitting freezers, canned frozen juice is, well, canned.
That news surprised me. I've never really even thought about frozen juice since I was a little kid, but I walk by. It's such a staple that when you're at the grocery store or Walmart or something, I would just walk past it without even glancing. But I don't recall the last time I've ever seen someone buy it, let alone done it myself. Are you a frozen juice can person?
well, I certainly remember growing up in the 80s and in the 90s that was kind of your main source of juice in the house. So if you had juice, you would have one of those like plastic bright red containers that would be in your fridge, and it would be filled with a juice from concentrate. Mm-hmm. And certainly storage wise, I can see the benefits of it because, it's a smaller can filled with the frozen juice that you just add water to. So you can have a bunch of them in your freezer, mm-hmm. as opposed to a 2-liter juice container that you would buy now from the grocery store. It takes up a lot of real estate in your fridge. So I get the...
Yeah, you can't be buying 4 of them.
Yeah, I get the logistical reasons why you would want juice from concentrate in a little can.
And also not only storage in your home, but imagine if you're the company who makes juice and ships it to all the grocery stores, how much easier it would be to ship crates of cans rather than these big plastic 2-liter tubs. So it seems to be a bit of a win-win for consumers and for the manufacturers. But the big problem, I think, is like they said in that clip there, is for my kids, if I showed them that, they'd be like, why would you freeze it? That's such an unnecessary extra step. We're in the era of convenience, I think.
Mm-hmm. But certainly it didn't take long to prepare it. It's not like you had to really wait for it to melt or anything. You just put it in the jug, you poured the water in, you stirred it, and then your juice was already cold.
I was thinking of it as people buying it to drink it, like as you and I have just been talking, but apparently a lot of people buy it for baking, like different recipes will use it, or fancy drinks, like alcoholic drinks, you'll dump this juice concentrate in. So I think a lot of it gets sold for like cooking and making weird drinks that aren't just a big tub of orange juice. But what's the next food to go? Make a prediction now. We've been here on Keep Canada Weird for 200 episodes, and we've tracked the fall of the cherry blossom candy. There was another bar, there was a chocolate bar I don't recall that we didn't like that went away. Now we have frozen juice concentrate. What is the next Canadian institution food-wise that we're going to see the death of?
It's tough because I'm not sure.
How about this? Bagged milk.
Do people still do that?
They still sell it, but
in
not
the grocery
very often.
stores, though? Can you still?
I was at Walmart last week because I wanted to buy a juice concentrate so my kids could experience it once. We bought it and they weren't that impressed. But anyway, when I was there, I noticed bagged milk and I thought to myself, like, is this the next thing to go?
We used to have bagged milk delivered to our home so that we had a milkman growing up. So I don't know if you ever experienced that. That's a super old school thing that goes back to the dawn of time, milk deliveries. But when we used to get milk deliveries, so the milkman would pull in the driveway with his truck and he would bring 3 bags or 4 bags of milk. And he'd leave them at the door, and then my dad would just pay the bill every now and then.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, my dad would put something in the window that would indicate like how much milk he wanted. I think he had a little sign or something he'd put in the window, and it was almost like a newspaper delivery. You'd pay it every second week, your milk. That seems like a really unnecessary step to deliver bagged milk to your house. But anyway, we'll see if it sticks around. But let's get back on track here. We're here to celebrate our 200th episode by unpacking the week's weird Canadian news stories. And it's going to be interesting, but we don't want to use all of the celebration just between you and I. Let's pass the mic to a listener named Travis, who has something to say about our 200th episode.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. Just want to congratulate you guys on 200 episodes. I just had a quick question. Out of your 200 episodes, what was your favorite, most weird story from Canada? Thanks.
That's so hard to answer.
Yeah, because mine isn't a specific story. Like,
what is yours?
My favorite stories that we talked about were the ones that we created ourselves.
Yeah.
Like the animal, not that we created the animal uprising, we noticed and broke the animal uprising. So that was our own breaking news. Tires is another one.
Yeah.
Those types of stories where we were able to interact with the listeners over an extended period of time.
Yeah, and over distance, like using voicemails and us like talking about them, able to make like a cohesive storyline that flows over the span of like 2 months. It's actually pretty impressive that it all comes together. And it's not us doing it. It's the listeners and the people involved in sending the voicemails and getting our jokes and playing
It's
along.
always the interactions with the listeners that spawn some kind of a topic or idea or concept that we'll roll with, and the listeners will come along for the journey and contribute to it. So yeah, like, and it's like another example is the egg versus ag. It wasn't the story itself that made that so amazing. It was the aftermath of the misunderstanding of what ag meant.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and my second favorite story would be when Cove Soda never got back to us and completely ignored us and refuses to return our emails and our phone calls and won't give us the time of day, you know? It's just the rejection from Cove Soda of just even acknowledging that we exist is now becoming one of my favorite stories as well.
Well, let's get into it. We have some stories to break down. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we have another scam or fraud to raise awareness about, but also kind of scratch our heads at how did the scammers come up with this stuff? When we get back, we'll hear about the dirty oil scam. Handsome Aaron Airport, Canadians selling their cars online are being hit with a bizarre but creative new scam where criminals sabotage vehicles while viewing them to make them look catastrophically broken. Using equal parts sleight of hand and theatrics, it turns an ordinary test drive into a full-blown horror show, complete with smoke, panic, and a lowball offer. Mark Rofi of Paris, Ontario, just went public with his story of falling victim for the dirty oil scam.
I feel violated.
Mark Roffey and Carol Crawford of Paris, Ontario were selling their 2016 Hyundai Santa Fe. They listed it for $7,000 on Facebook Marketplace. Two people came at night to see the vehicle. One man wanted to inspect the trunk.
And he was looking underneath the mats and looking for the spare tire and had me completely occupied. So I was not aware of what the other person was doing, who had gone around to the car, opened up the hood.
It's believed after opening the hood, the man sprayed oil throughout the engine compartment. When the potential buyer started to go for a test drive, he stopped and backed into the driveway.
The other gentleman who was hanging around the driveway squatted down and sprayed or inserted something liquid into the tailpipe.
After a short drive, they returned, and smoke was pouring off the engine and out of the exhaust.
There's all this white smoke coming out, and the other guy who was in the driveway comes running around and says, look, he says, there's oil everywhere.
Roffey says the two men told him the engine had blown and the car was worthless.
It was like, oh my gosh, something must have blown because there's oil everywhere.
He was asking $7,000 for the SUV, but was convinced to take $1,000 just to get rid of it. The two men paid in cash, took an extra set of tires, and left. Roffey told his wife what happened. That's when they checked their security video.
We saw everything. I said, we've been scammed. I said, this is a scam.
This is a case of seller beware.
Roffey is upset he was scammed out of $6,000 and that he trusted the two men.
To be taken like this, I don't know how somebody sleeps at night after doing this.
I've never seen anything like that, but it's actually very common. Believe it or not, as we were putting together this episode and included this story, the Halifax police put out like a notice with photos of these two guys, being like, these guys are wanted for a car sales fraud. And they did this exact same thing, different guys, to people in Halifax. Have you ever heard of this before tonight?
No. Well, before tonight, I did see this story, but it was the exact same news story pop up on my TikTok feed.
Oh, it did? Okay.
But I agree with you. It's a super clever crime and scam. And when you see criminals pull off something super clever and interesting like this, I'm kind of glad they got away with it.
I don't think they'll get away with it. They have gotten
away with it. This isn't just the same people doing this. This is happening.
Yeah, well, these guys drove away with the car, but don't you have to like sign to register the car? You'd have to like sign things. They'd have to go to the DMV or equivalent in Ontario and register the car in someone's name. So there will be some paper trail. If the police want to find these people, they should be able to do it. Unless they ship the car out of somewhere or scrap it for parts or something. If it's going to be registered, they can find them. But what I wondered about was the actual like legality of what they did. I guess it would be fraud.
I mean, there is still a transaction of, well, we'll give you only $1,000 instead of $7,000, and then they pay, and then they would sign the thing or whatever. But I don't think that they're keeping the car for themselves. I think these individuals are probably, they're probably working for a much more organized criminal organization. So these cars are probably ending up, in Europe or in the Middle East somewhere by the time they're done with it. So
maybe, yeah. Well, the part of it that would have thrown me off, like I don't know a lot about cars, so I probably could fall for something like this. But the big red flag to me is the fact that they then drive away.
They drive away with it.
The engine's blown. It's not worth anything. And they're like, oh, we'll still give you $1,000. Give us the tires. We'll just start the car, drive out of here. There's no weird noises or anything. It's at that point I'd be like, wait a sec. Like maybe I shouldn't have just taken the lowest offer, but I could see how someone would get scared because having an older car is a bit of a liability. There's big expenses to maintain it. And when anything goes wrong, you're just like, oh crap, I'm owed $3,000 because that thing's rattling or that light turned on.
Yeah.
So if this happened to you, your first thought is like, damn it, I'm screwed. Like whatever's causing this smoke is going to cost me a fortune. They'll give me $1,000. The car's sold. I don't got to deal with it. Fine. Like I could see how you could fall for this.
Yeah, no, it's impressive all across the board, and it's unfortunate that it's very creative, and I applaud it. And then the problem is that they do it so much, not just them, but maybe copycats, maybe other people. If it's an organized criminal entity that's masterminding all of this, then they do it so often that people start to catch on, and then it ends up on the news, and then now people will not fall for that when somebody tries to pull it on them. So the word gets out there that this is happening, so then they can't do this. They have to think of something else after that. But I mean, I don't think I would have fallen for this, because my instinct would have been, well, if you're still interested, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to an auto body shop or something, get it looked at, and then we'll see what the official professional diagnosis is, and then you can come back and take a look at it then. And if the mechanic says that it's shot, then I'll give it to you for $500. If they can fix it, then the price will go back
Then
up.
it's still $7,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Much like every scam, it seems the solution is just to put the brakes on something. Just be like, wait a sec.
Yeah, whenever somebody is trying to buy something off you in that moment. But certainly the smoke and mirrors, the production of this thing can be overwhelming and can send you into a state of shock, and then you will make decisions under stress, and that's not a decision that your right mind would normally make. But so I can understand why somebody would fall for this. It's a really clever scam.
Yeah, it is. Let's move on to another story. This segment I'm referring to as nasty stories. This one was nasty just because every scam preying on people and trying to steal their hard-earned money from them is nasty. But this next story is nasty for a different reason. A routine walk in a British Columbia park turned into a medical emergency after a young husky accidentally overdosed on cocaine that he picked up off the ground. This is something we talked about before with raccoons high on meth, but let's listen to what happened to the sweet husky in British Columbia.
This 2-year-old husky named Nilak has a bad habit of eating paper products.
He'll get dropped paper towels and stuff that fall as we take dishes and stuff, and I've never really thought too much about it because it's always been fine.
So teacher Sarah Bell wasn't immediately concerned when Nilak gobbled up a discarded napkin during a walk in Delta.
He didn't even chew it. It was in his mouth and then down his throat, and that was the end of the story.
But when they got home and Nilak wouldn't stop bobbing his head, Belle knew something was wrong, and she took him to the vet. The result? Nilak had ingested cocaine.
So I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but it's actually something we see with relative frequency, especially in Vancouver. Even in the last week, our emergency at Canada West, we've had cocaine, amphetamines, and various other illicit drug toxicities, along with, more of the usual toxicities like THC, marijuana, that type of thing.
Dr. Edelman says Nilak's owner was smart to take him to the vet when she saw him bobbing his head like this.
Noticing those particularly neurologic signs or cardiac signs, dogs often will act very unusual. Their behavior will change. They might get twitchy. They might look like they're stumbling around.
As for Nilak and his paper eating habit,
the plan is to get a trainer involved to help me work it out, because obviously I'd like him to stop.
Man, Nilak has got a story to tell for the other dogs. This happened near downtown Vancouver, which seems to be ground zero for social decay in Canada. But I thought cocaine was expensive. Why did someone just lose cocaine?
Well, I have a theory about this story, and
I'd be surprised if he didn't, but yes.
How the dog really ingested cocaine.
Okay.
So I think that this woman is lying.
Okay.
what I think is happening here is that she's a cocaine addict. And she's got it out on the table, and she's setting up a line of cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
And then her dog comes over, and as dogs can get, they can get kind of in things and knock things over. And then the dog kind of bumps into the table, and the cocaine kind of spills everywhere, and the dog starts to maybe lick it up or sniff it up or whatever.
They do smell like I could see it happening.
Yeah, right? So that could easily happen. So she freaks out, and she's like, oh my God, the dog is on cocaine. What am I going to do? The dog starts acting weird, bobbing its head. She's like, I love my dog. I don't want my dog to overdose, whatever the situation. I don't know how dogs would react to cocaine. So she knows she's got to take it to the vet to get it checked out. But then she's thinking, what am I going to do? And I can't tell the vet that it was my cocaine. And so then she comes up with this elaborate story about the paper towel.
The dog. Yeah.
She's like, you wouldn't believe it. I was out for a walk, and there was a big pile of cocaine that was just sitting on the sidewalk, and my dog just sniffed it all. And now here we are, and I'm not on cocaine, and I don't have a knife.
Yeah, it's possible. But here's the thing is, you're not a dog owner. I think you've met my daughter. My beautiful Penny has quite the habit of eating things, and she has a great nose. Anything that's ever touched food or another dog, it can be buried a foot underground, and she'll dig it up and eat it. Not very long ago, we were walking with sweet Penny near a sandbox, and she charged towards the sandbox and started digging. And I was like, oh, she must like digging sand. Then she stuck her nose down and pulled something out of the sandbox. And this happened instantly, just like this lady is describing. Penny was just like, dig, 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 lifted something up. And what she had in her mouth was like a rat that probably died 6 months ago. It was just this decayed rat. And immediately, like the entire area around the sandbox just stunk of death. I pulled it out of her mouth with my bare hands. And yeah, and then I had to go directly home with Penny to wash my hands. And not only that, I had to like scrub her face because her mouth smelled like death. But anyways, I understand how fast something like this can happen. I believe her story. I think what happened is somebody just tried to put, well, actually, no, before I can even say it, it doesn't sound right. Why would you put cocaine in a napkin? Because it's powder, right? You'd put it in like a bag or something. Who's keeping cocaine in like in paper towel or whatever? Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I'm telling you, she's a liar.
I will say something shady is going on in this story.
I agree.
But then again, we did cover a raccoon on meth, and I'm sure that had happened. But all that to say is keep, if you have these illicit drugs, don't lose them, at least.
Yeah. Lock the pets in another room when you're doing cocaine on your coffee table.
I want to move away from this story and hear from another listener. This is a listener named Randy. It's not our friend Randy, but this guy I would like to be friends with. This listener's voice has so much personality that I wish he would start a podcast. But Randy wants to talk about an opinion on a story we discussed last week. You remember we heard about a case that ended up in court where a fella hired a matchmaking service. He ended up wanting his money back because they only found him 4 girls and only one met his criteria and he wanted his money back. The whole thing ended up in court. Randy has something he wants to say about that. Listen to this guy.
Hey boys, what's going on? Love the show. Randy from New West BC here. I'm just out for a rip listening to the pod, and I'm a bit confused by the story about the guy paying for the dating/marriage services. He said he got 4 candidates, but only one met his criteria. But if one of them met his criteria, then what's the issue? Sounds like there's no issue at all, no? Anyway, love the show.
I love his voice. That's a good Canadian boy there, eh?
Oh, Randy's a gem. Yeah, absolutely.
I bet you Randy loves having a good time. You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah. I'd like to go for a beer with Randy.
I'll go for a rip, listen to a pod. And
we should introduce this Randy to our Randy. Get them.
Our Randy is so unlikable, though. If there's anyone that this Randy we just heard from, if there's anyone in Canada he won't get along with, it's our friend Randy.
Well, we should start a show, Randy and Randy, or we'll just call it Randy versus Randy, and we'll have them debate topics.
That actually would be an interesting spin-off show. But as far as what Randy said, he makes a really good point we never even hit on. He was the guy who sued the matchmaker and everything. He was upset because he only got 4 dates and only one of them met his criteria. So what happened there? Was it him that dropped the ball?
We don't know. He didn't get into those specifics. He didn't talk about his experience with the one that did meet his criteria. And obviously it didn't work out for whatever reason. Maybe he didn't meet her criteria.
I just feel like in that court case, the defendant who ran that dating service should have been like, I told you I'd find you someone. You admit it that one of these women met your criteria and you couldn't pull it off. Like, I can't, what do you want from me?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be another lawsuit coming at this dating service because the woman who did meet his criteria met this guy, had such an awful experience with him, and then now she's like, why did you set me up with that psychopath who sues everybody? He kept trying to, he kept saying he was going to sue me the entire date.
Well, interesting catch, Randy. So, Randy, we hope to hear from you again.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we get back, I have the WTF story to end all WTF stories after this short break. Handsome Aaron Airport. This is our second story related to buses in as many weeks. You recall last week we heard about the fella who sued the bus company in Montreal because it didn't stop and pick him up. We got another bus story tonight. An Ottawa school bus ride took a surreal turn last week when the driver allegedly parked a bus full of students in a parking lot, got out, and drove away in his own car. The incident's now under investigation by the Ottawa police. Let's hear the story of the bus driver crashing out in Ottawa.
The bus had about 40 students from Samuel Genet on board, a grade 7 to 12 school. The French school bus authority says instead of proceeding on his route, the driver parked the bus, left the students on board, and drove away in his car. The head of the school bus authority says this all happened at the bus depot on Coventry Road around 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. He says he's never seen anything like this in his career and that a replacement bus was sent to take the students home. Some parents came to pick up their kids and police were contacted. In a statement, the French Catholic School Board says it does not condone any behavior that could compromise the safety or well-being of students. The consortium says the driver has been relieved of his duties and will never drive a school bus again. Ottawa police confirm they were called and an investigation is now underway. Patricia?
Oh, what a spectacle that must have been for the 40 high school and junior high school students on that bus. I said that that's the story of the bus driver crashing out in Ottawa. They didn't say in the clip what motivated this, but do you think something was going on? This bus driver just had enough?
You know what? This story is not truly about a bus. The story is about the puberty problem. So I
Preach.
Yeah, so I 110% agree with this bus driver. He did the right thing. He did what his only option was to completely abandon these delinquents, these puberty problem people, and
infected.
Yeah, the infected, and leave them and walk away. And he doesn't have to be fired. He doesn't want to come back, obviously. He had no other choice but to just get up and walk off, get into his car, and drive away with no explanation. Can you imagine driving a school bus in today's day and age with junior high and high school kids? 40 of them. That shouldn't have been put on him. It shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't be allowed to put one adult person versus 40 completely unhinged teenagers. And
true. There's no internet on the bus.
It's not fair to him. And the way that this story is covering this as if this guy's a maniac, like he's fired. Don't worry, this complete psychopath is fired. He's like, no. Somebody needs to bring this person in and talk to them and say, we understand. Like it's okay. It's our fault. We never should have put you in that situation to begin with.
Yeah, is there no
It's
counseling services they can offer this guy? And it is hilarious. They say he's been fired as if it was some kind of thing they did. I'm pretty sure he quit.
No, yeah, that is a quiet quit, and because there's no defense that he has on that bus, there's no protection for him. All he has to do is all he can do is sit there and just take it from these kids. And I'm guilty of being infected with the puberty problem. I remember the school bus that we had when we were in high school, and we had an amazing school bus driver named Julie Friesen.
Shout out to Julie.
Shout out to Julie Friesen, because he put up with so much, but every now and then he couldn't handle it anymore and he would snap. I remember one time and there was a bunch of us, because he was driving us all home, and he turned the bus around and he drove us to the police station instead. And then walked into the police station, got a cop, and brought him onto the bus because he couldn't control us. We were lighting paper on fire, and we were like, we would smoke in the back of the bus, and he let us. Yeah, he wouldn't fight that. He said, you can smoke in the back of the bus, but just like be cool about it. But we would get unruly every now and then and kind of not really understand how much leeway he was really giving us. And so then we would start to get into trouble, and then he'd be yelling us, stop, stop, stop. And then we wouldn't stop, and we kept going because he was always so cool. And then he would pull into a police station, and the cop would come on, and he'd be like, who lit the fire? Who lit the fire?
Yeah, I have very similar experiences. So you went to school in Glace Bay in Cape Breton. I went to school in Sydney. Different crowds of people, but very similar kind of social issues at play on the high school and junior high school bus. I can't imagine, like this bus driver who pulled over, at least they parked the car somewhere safe, or parked the bus somewhere safe. They parked it in not just a regular like mall parking lot. They parked it at the bus depot, like where all the buses are parked. They just filled it with kids, parked it there. And I think a manager of the bus company actually came out and dealt with it.
Yeah,
But,
he knew what he was doing. It wasn't like he was leaving them in the middle of nowhere, like on some class trip to some abandoned like warehouse in the in the middle of, or a cabin in the woods or something. He was leaving them in a place where he knew he was going to be safe, and he's like, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't take it. I just got to get up and go, and I'm going to leave them somewhere where it's like when you leave a baby at a fire department.
Yeah, it's true. It's a safe place to park the 40 kids in the bus. I want to play a voicemail here. This is a cool eclipse of stories. So in last week's episode, 199, we talked about the man who sued the bus company because they didn't pick him up in Montreal, as I already mentioned. A listener named Maddie sent us a voicemail about that story, and she just wanted to tell us a story about something that happened to her once on a bus. And oddly enough, it's very similar to what we just listened to. Here's what Maddie has to say.
This is Maddie from Calgary, and I was just listening to episode 199, and I had to tell you these stories. During my high school days, we would take a bus back to our community from the school because it was pretty far away. But it was a city bus rather than like a yellow school bus. So this was like a city bus driver, I believe. Anyway, being a youth myself, I had to deal with the other kids the teens, the puberty problem type kinds. They set off fireworks on the bus while we were going down Deerfoot Trail. The bus driver just completely pulled off of the highway. Like, this is like 4 lanes, 3 lanes of heavy traffic during rush hour going back like home to the south. And the bus driver just pulled off and told the kids to walk home from the highway, and I was so thankful. I felt so bad for that bus driver. Like, they got it rough sometimes with those kids. I don't know. Anyway, thank you.
That was a city bus driver. So maybe that's a little bit of a different of a story. A school bus driver has a different kind of commitment with the kids, but you can mess around a lot more, I think, on a school bus than you would on a city bus.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, school bus drivers, it's a tough gig. Somebody's got to do it. And every now and then, you just can't do it.
Let's put a shout out. I think people all over Canada and all over the world probably have stories of crazy stuff they saw on school buses back when they were in high school. I'd like to hear some of these. I think there's fruit to be pulled from the tree of crazy school bus stories. I have one very similar to Maddie. I remember in high school a really bad kid in my school he missed a lot of time. And that's kind of a good sign of like trouble at home, I think. He missed a ton of time, but whenever he was in school, he was up to something. But he got the bus to school with me, and he managed to open up, like, there was this kind of like emergency box thing that was kind of built into the roof of the school bus or something. And I remember he pulled it open somehow, and there was like a flare in there, and he lit off a flare in the back of the school bus. And the bus had to pull over, and they had to send another bus to pick us up and put us on. But I remember as soon as we got to school, over the PA was like, could bad kid come to the office, please? And didn't see him on the bus again. We'll say that.
Yeah, a lot of memories are flooding back to me now because we used to have such a blast on the bus. That was my favorite part of the day, was the bus ride home.
Yeah, it was basically recess in a rocket.
Yeah, and you were all amped up from school, and you were just like charged and be like, all right, here we go. Like, and then you would just get up to so many crazy things in the back of that bus. And it's actually, I haven't thought of it in a long time.
Yeah, it's exciting. They were exciting times. And like I said, I'm sure listeners have similar experiences. Go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Let us know about the crazy stuff you saw on a bus, and feel free to congratulate us on our 200th episode, and feel free to crack open a special drink and share it with us. That's something we're going to start doing a little bit in the opening segments. You and I will unveil our special drinks, and we'll have a listener join us.
Oh, that would be really special.
By finding a special drink in the grocery store, buy it, bring it home, turn on the voice memo recorder at thecanadiangothic.com. Tell us what you got, crack it open and taste it. And that way it can be like a trilogy of special drinks on every episode.
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah. That would be real. I love that idea. Yeah.
We'll start that.
Think of all the special drinks because you and I kind of troll our convenience stores and grocery stores looking for things sometimes. But I'm sure there's so many different things around the country and around the world, some of the listeners that could find some pretty cool special drinks to have with us on the show.
It took us 200 episodes to think of this.
Yeah. For some reason, it took delinquents on a school bus to trigger the idea.
Well, this has been a blast. Aaron, I mean it when I say of everything I've done on the Canadian Gothic and all the various spin-offs and everything else, Keep Canada Weird has always had a special spot in my heart, because my friendship with you has been going for so long. We've had so many great times together and have worked on so many great creative projects. Keep Canada Weird is a favorite of all of them. 200 episodes, buddy. Fist bump and thank you.
There we go. Likewise, right back at you. Ditto. Love this show.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, Bonaparte. Until next time.
Honestly, I'm just happy to be keeping Canada weird with you. I mean it when I say let's do another 200 at least.
I agree. And then another 200 after that. And Jordan, until next time, one last tribute to Julie Friesen, the bus driver. Julie Friesen used to race horses, and he had a horse. His horse was called Box Office. And so when we'd be driving the bus and Julie would have to come to an abrupt stop for some reason, I would always yell from the back, "Whoa, Box Office." And we'd all laugh, and then he would just shake his head like, "I hate my job."
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. Our premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
Our show and our coverage of the Taco Bell story actually got pulled into the mainstream. We were invited to be guests on Chrissy Holmes' CBC show. It's called On the Go. It's a CBC radio show in Newfoundland. And they were so impressed that these podcasters out of Nova Scotia were following the nonsensical Taco Bell stuff in Mount Pearl so much. They invited us to talk a little bit on local radio. So that was kind of cool. That was a bit of a feather in our cap.
Yeah, I know. It's good to get some attention from Newfoundland because we certainly have blasted a spotlight on them several times throughout the history of this show.
To the latest in franchise frenzy news now. A spokesperson at the city of Mount Pearl confirmed that the court proceedings between residents impacted by traffic congestion at the Mount Pearl Taco Bell and the city have been delayed at the request of the applicant. Now, CBC reached out to Rod Thompson, but he has not responded so far to our requests. Just like those in the Taco Tuesday lineup on Commonwealth Avenue today, we wait, and we'll continue to watch this story. And in the meantime, we're not the only ones watching.
If the city agrees to meaningful change, could end quickly. If not, on February 3rd, there's going to be a showdown.
Wow. It's all happening very fast, and it's very exciting.
It's like watching a Netflix drama play out in real time here.
That's Jordan Bonaparte and Aaron Airport, co-hosts of a Halifax-based podcast, Keep Canada Weird. And they're not kidding. Jordan and Aaron have been covering this Taco Bell traffic rush on their show since the beginning. And they've got listeners from all over the world hooked on it too. Keep Canada Weird co-host Jordan Bonaparte is on the line right now from Halifax. Hey, Jordan.
How's it going over there? Everything's still standing in Newfoundland despite the Taco Bell craze?
Well, you know, it's standing. Yes, there's a lot of snow here, and we've got other complaints these days. Back to the Taco Bell and this Taco Tuesday, Jordan. Like, how did you guys first get interested in this story?
Yes, it's funny. On Keep Canada Weird, we do like a weekly episode where we cover the week's weirdest news across Canada. And a lot of that is driven by listeners who will email us or send us voice messages letting us know about the weird thing happening in their neck of the woods. And that's where we get the majority of our stories. And a few weeks ago, we had a listener from Mount Pearl let us know that there was something really unusual happening around Taco Bell. And it was quite hilarious. So we kind of looked in on it in the first, I think it was our first coverage of it was maybe a day or two after it opened. And we were just covering, you know, the intense demand for Taco Bell, which is quite hilarious because Taco Bell, it certainly isn't something we're lining up for here in Halifax. But that's how it started. And then we just continued to watch as things didn't die down. I guess we expected 2 or 3 days later, everyone would have had a chance to try a mediocre taco and would have moved on. But when that wasn't the case, we continued to follow it. And I'm excited to see what twists and turns it takes next.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of that, though, I mean, maybe nobody's lining up for Taco Bell in Nova Scotia and Halifax, but like, let's be real, Jordan. Nova Scotia is no stranger to franchise frenzy lineups, right? I mean, what are Nova Scotians lining up for lately?
Well, I was trying to act like I was from a special, classy place that was better than lining up for Taco Bell, but I'm ashamed to say here in Halifax, we had the American Dollar Store, Dollar Tree. They opened a couple locations around Halifax area, maybe 2 months ago. And I've never seen an hour and a half long wait to get into a dollar store, but it happened here.
Okay. Jordan, thanks for keeping Canada weird and
do what
making
we can.
time for us. Thanks for this.
Thank you.
That is Jordan Bonaparte. He and his co-host, Aaron Airport, have a podcast called Keep Canada Weird, which you can find wherever you get your favorite podcasts.